I just think that parenting is such an incredibly important part of somebody else's life. And I think, a lot of people will just, I don't know, man, so I was just thinking about this, right? So a lot of people either go, well, they're kind of too humble about themselves and they don't necessarily think of themselves in a very positive light, right? And then the opposite side is that a lot of people sort of boast up their kids so much and that they're not necessarily, their kids end up being very like over the top and super overconfident in who they are and what they're about. And I think it's like, man, the sort of results of both of those, so the people that are too humble, I was always like I was in a Roman Catholic family with a really big family, and that was like always a huge thing, is to be like humble, and to be servient, to respect elders, like all of those kind of things. That was like a really big thing. So I have a lot of hang-ups with that, with dealing with all of those sort of areas. And then, on the other side, there are, people that are raised in they're sort of encouraged to be like super, super confident in who they are and think about like that they're, just truly amazing. And, on that side, with the humility side, if you're like too humble and you're kind of, you don't think of yourself in a lot of different ways, and you kind of go about of like, if the world does something, if it like bites, then you kind of just sit back and you don't want to go back and do that again, right? Like it was all this in the last week I had this like video go viral, and it was like there's just a lot of negativity, and it was all I could possibly do to keep going. And I was like, I just want to quit this thing. This is stupid. But I just keep going, right? I have to put those blinders on and keep going. And then on the other side, there's lots of people that are just like so self-confident that they would never even do anything like that. And, that they just think doing anything, reaching out to people, helping out to people is below them. Or, the sort of stereotype, if they see dirt on the ground, it's just below them, right? To clean it up or do anything with it. And they'll just never do that. I think it's actually more the latter. You see a lot more people like that, because the people that are sort of quiet, they just disappear, right? You never see them, and you never hear about them because they're just, something negative happens to them and they just disappear. And I think encouraging people to do both and to be able to, know that they have this like inside, they have this confidence and that they're really amazing, and that they're really awesome, they truly are. But at the same time, like, pick up and go. If somebody says, hey, why don't you pitch in, let's do something, let's just do it. And I think it's like, not only personality, I think that's like a super important part, but your social environment, your sort of parenting that happens, I think that's what, parents install it a lot. I know teachers do a lot. As people are growing up, they have an enormous influence. But, parenting for this kind of stuff, the sort of little stuff, the softer stuff, is like so incredibly important. And it's a mystery to me that we're not talking about this more, because I see sort of like, people dealing with, so when they have adversity, for example, a lot of people back down because they're kind of like the first, but, a lot of people just don't even approach anything and do anything because it's the latter. They think that they're so good and so amazing, and that they don't need to do anything. And it's like, how do you encourage people to do good things, to do things that seemingly seem below you, but at the same time, when the world bites back, just keep going with it? It's such a fine combination. It's such a difficult thing to possibly understand. That, it's just super challenging. Like, the whole thing is super challenging, dealing with these things. I just want everybody to know that, if you can, and once you become a parent, once you become a parent, or if you're not a parent just yet, or if you are one, like, really work on this. It's pretty, it's a tough thing to teach, though, too, to get people to get up and get going and be okay with themselves. To teach that sort of self-confidence. I don't know how to do it. But it's also, you don't want them to be so self-confident that they're just kind of jerky, and which you see a lot of that too, right? So how do you balance those two? I think it's just like repetition, right? I think at the end of the day, I see this with my own kids. There'll be some days, so, both of them will be very arrogant, right? Very self-confident. Now, you'll have to do something to sort of push them and say, oh, I don't know. And then on the other side, they'll be like not feeling good about themselves, and you have to sort of coach them up and say, hey, you're truly awesome. And then on top of it, actually have a conversation with them. And it really is, it's a conscious process, right? Where you are going through and dealing with, it's just actively parenting. And think of yourself as like a parent, and like, how do you deal with the situation, right? And that's the challenging part, is dealing with it. I don't know, going through and making sure that you're guiding people. And I suppose if you're a manager or anybody that's kind of in a role like that, you could think of yourself in doing the same sort of thing, as trying to get people to have confidence, and at the same time, just like a tremendous amount of humility. The balance is super important. When I was in graduate school, it was the complete opposite. I was so insecure about myself. I came in confident, but as kind of an insecure person to begin with, like, decently confident, but just graduate school just beat it out of me, and I became like not confident at all. And so it's this part of this whole reciprocity project is me building this confidence. And you're seeing this. A lot of days it don't feel good. We keep going, right? And I think that's the important thing, is you just got to keep going and not stop with what you're doing, but then figure out how to balance that sort of self-confidence, as well as figuring out how to be humble and not thinking of yourself as anything special. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.